So now we're going to start to draw some actual objects, some floors and walls, etc. So when we draw floors, we'll start with the main floor and the second floor. We want to make sure we're on the right level. So we double click on the main floor. If you're going to draw the main floor, make sure you're on the main floor. By default, the floor is justified by the top. So the top of the floor will be at the main floor level, and you can vertically offset it above or below that. Our floor system is going to be 14 inches thick. It's going to be 13 1/4 inch of a wood eye joist and then 3/4 inch subfloor on top of that. And it's going to go basically to the edges of these grid lines. The wall that sits on the edge is going to have a 2-inch aspect or component that overhangs that. So this is really the edge of our foundation wall and the edge of our floor system as well. So we can start by clicking on our floor tool. So we can go to our home tab, and now we're going to actually start to draw something. So we'll go here to floor, and you'll see that there's, if you pick the flyout, there's a regular floor, structural floor, floor by face, and then a slab edge. Okay, and we're just going to use a regular architectural floor. So we're going to say okay, floor. As soon as we click this, we're going to go into sketch mode. Watch what happens. Click. All of a sudden the screen changes a little bit. We see our contextual screen here, or tab, which is going to show up when we start to draw stuff. But the biggest hint here is the big red X and green check mark. You know you're in sketch mode when you see these two guys inside of here, which means that you have limited availability. Everything else kind of becomes grayed out. You can actually change views from within sketch mode. You can move around, do whatever you want. Okay, I'm double clicking on all these different views. The key is I'm going to go back to the main floor. Until you either finish or exit, you're going to stay in this sketch mode. And in particular, with a floor, we need to create a closed polygon. If we do a polygon inside of a polygon, it'll actually cut a hole. So the first thing we want to do is check our floor system inside of here before we draw the floor. So we say, okay. We're looking at our properties, okay, and it's going to place it at 0,2 top of main, 0,2 top of main, vertical offset of 0. This is all good, but what I want to do is see, I want a different floor. So I'm going to pick on, this is my type selector. Whenever you draw anything, it allows you to pick in here and see different types. Well, we have wood eye joist, ceramic tile, wood eye joist, wood finish, wood truss joist 12-inch with carpet. So you're looking for something that might be close to what you have. And I purposely am going to avoid these and make a fresh one from the beginning. So I'm going to go into here and say generic 12-inch. I'm going to select that as my floor type. That's the floor type. Now I'm going to say edit type, and I'm going to duplicate it and create a different one based on this. That's how you make a new floor type. It's a system family. In order to make a new floor type, you need to go in here and say edit, and then you're going to see those same names here. Okay, I'm going to go over here and pick duplicate, and this is going to be called main floor. That's all. I'm just going to call it main floor type. Boom, there's my new name. Now watch, structure, edit. This is where the guts of the floor are defined. You pick on here and it says, okay, there's the core boundary, and then there's above and below. This is the top of the floor and the bottom of the floor. So it says it's got a 1 foot thickness of basic, just by category, which means it's going to use the default floor material. Look, function, material, thickness. These are the different layers within that floor system. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say insert, click. It's going to add another one in. I'm going to change this to say 3/4 of an inch, 3/4, and you have to say inches. Okay, if you don't say inches, it makes it 3/4 of a foot. And then click on here, and this needs to be 13.25 inches, 13 1/4. Okay, and then click out. I'm not going to worry about the material. We're going to make this one structure 1. Notice the number in the square brackets. Okay, this one's going to be structure 2, which is not as powerful as structure 1. Okay, I'm not going to go into great detail about the functions here right now. We have lots of lessons on this. And that's it. So if I go preview over here, it's going to give you a little preview of what that floor looks like. 1 foot 1 3/4 inch, and then 3/4 inch on top of that. This is going to be where my TJI. You don't specify that necessarily here. You can pick a material. Good. Hit OK. I've duplicated it. I've made myself a new floor system type. Now I actually have to define what is the outline of the floor. So I can do this in a couple of ways. I can draw a line, I can use a rectangle, I can use all these different AutoCAD type shapes, different arcs, 3-point arc, tangent arc, fillet arc, splines. I can say pick line work, and this will allow me to pick the grid lines. If I use this, it will allow me to use pick walls, which means that it will make the edge of the floor talk to the wall. Okay, very powerful. I don't have any walls yet, so I'm going to use pick lines. Okay, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick on here, and then I'm going to lock it. That means that when the grid line moves, my floor will move. Pick on here, lock it. You don't have to lock it. Pick on here, lock it. Pick, lock, pick, lock, pick, lock. Now I'm going to use the trim, which is like the fillet tool. Look, trim, watch. Pick the side you want to keep. Trim, 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 trim. Pick the sides you want to keep. Regular AutoCAD filleting. Okay, this means that the floor system span is going this way. Don't worry about these double lines in here. Basically form a closed polygon. If I wanted to, I could go grab another rectangle and do something like this inside of here. Don't worry about those other. Okay, and then pick modify. So now I have a big closed polygon and little ones. If you hover over an edge and hit your tab key, click, it'll let you do what is called chain selection. Hover, tab, click. Hover, tab, click. So you can pick lots of things at once if they're all touching by doing a hover, tab on the keyboard, click. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to say finish now. These all have to be closed polygons. If it doesn't, it's going to warn you. I finish, it highlights it, and then I can click out. Now if I go to a 3D view, finally, pick on here, or you can go to the View tab and pick your big 3D button. But either way, click out, and there's that floor system that I just created. Okay, now I don't like those holes in the middle, but I just did that as an example. Now that I finally have something in my 3D view, I can pick on the floor anytime I want. And to get back into the sketching, you select, then you say Edit Boundary. Now I'm right back where I was, and I can shift middle mouse button in a 3D view. You can shift middle mouse button to swivel. Okay, panning, holding your mouse button in, pan, zoom, shift middle mouse press. Okay, shift middle mouse press swivels, and middle mouse wheel, and middle mouse press just by itself. So watch, hover, tab, click, delete, hover, tab, click, delete on the keyboard, hover, tab, click, delete. Finish. Click out. There's my main floor, and if I go back to my main floor, there it is, nothing spectacular. Okay, if I go down here and change this to say shaded mode, I'll see a little more different effect than if I change it to say realistic. You get different effects. So consistent colors, so different view effects, hidden line, shaded mode. Okay, if I go back to my 3D view, quick access toolbar, I can do the same thing, shaded. Shift middle mouse button. There's my first